Hey guys, this video is part of a series on director's duties. Because director's duties are so broad, I cannot condense it into one single video. Now, director's duties apply to all directors, regardless of whether they are executive directors, non-executive directors, nominee directors, or even single director companies. That means the person is a shareholder, sole shareholder, and sole director of the companies. Directors' duties can also apply to shadow directors. What are shadow directors? They are basically people who are not directors, officially directors, but they are puppet masters. Directors' duties apply regardless of whether you know or not. Okay, I had a client who once came to me because one of her fellow director in a company wanted to sue her for opening a competing business. She was not aware there's such a thing called director's duties. And she was also not aware that one of the worst things you can do as a director is to start a competing business, which is a breach of one of the common law director's duties. Section 1571 of the Companies Act provides that a director shall at all times act honestly and use reasonable diligence in the discharge of the duties of his office. Section 1572 of the Companies Act states that an officer or agent of the company, which includes a director, shall not make improper use of his position as an officer or agent of the company, or any information acquired by virtue of his position as an officer or agent of the company to gain directly or indirectly an advantage for himself or for any other person, or to cause detriment to the company. What are the penalties for failing to comply with Section 157 of the Companies Act? Well, you can be fined or jailed. And if you cause loss to the company can also sue you in a civil case for the losses suffered. I'm going to talk about Section 157(1), okay, of the Companies Act. As I mentioned earlier, it says that a director shall at all times act honestly. What is honestly? It is the same as the common law duty to act bona fide. What is common law? Basically laws from England, okay, that were not passed by Parliament but made by judges. Under common law, the duty to act bona fide will be judged from the director's subjective state of mind, okay? Not objectively. They will not look at it objectively as a reasonable person, whether he's acting honestly or not. They will look at it subjectively. The director must be found to be wrong or blameworthy subjectively. A director has to act in what he honestly considers to be in the company's interest, not someone else's interest or another company's interest. Another example of the duty to act honestly is that the director must not place himself in a position where his duty to the company and personal interests may conflict. Now, Section 157 is not exhaustive. In fact, Section 157 of the Companies Act is in addition to directors' duties under common law. That means judge-made law. For example, the common law duties of directors include acting in the company's best interests, duties to avoid conflicts of interest, duty to act for proper purposes. I will be discussing these individually in separate videos. Section 157(1) of the Companies Act also provides that the director has to exercise reasonable diligence. In other words, he cannot be negligent in the discharge of his duties as a director. Let me give you an example. In the case of Lim Weng Kee and public prosecutor, it dealt with a managing director of a pawn shop. A woman went into the pawn shop to pawn her jewelry. And then when she tried to claim back the jewelry, she handed a check to the managing director, Lim Weng Kee. before the check was cleared, the managing director returned the jewelry to the woman who pawned it. And as you can expect, the check bounced. In other words, it was dishonored. So he was convicted and fined $4,000 for each of the 3 charges. Another case where the director was found to be negligent in the discharge of his duties is the case of Jurong Ready Mix Concrete and Kaki Bukit Industrial Park. The director was a majority shareholder of the company. He issued a guarantee to a concrete supplier without discussing this guarantee with the other 2 directors. Furthermore, he did not ask the concrete supplier for a copy of the concrete supply contract. He didn't read the contract. That's a very negligent thing to do. And he also did not realize that a guarantee was not necessary for a contract of this nature, a supply contract. So the company suffered losses and he was held to be liable, and he had to indemnify the company for the losses the company suffered under section 157(3)(a) of the Companies Act, which provides that if a director causes loss, okay, to the company, he has to compensate the company for the loss. So thanks for watching part 1 on director's duties. Stay tuned for the other videos.